right, we successfully wrap up 2021 with 11 consecutive winning months as we kick off 2022 here on the vlog. Thanks for those of you who are new to the channel. We started this back in 2018 and we're going as strong as ever, I firmly believe. If you haven't already, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. We usually wrap up every vlog with a question of the week. And in this edition, we're going to do it off the top. And there's a reason for that, because it's basically the simplest one that I will do in quite a while. I was basically asked in a long form question, what is your goal for this year? And my goal is very simple. Make exactly $1 more than I made last year. My first two sessions of 2022 were polar opposites, one of which involved local favorite Mr. Z going into full-fledged beast mode and crushing me, resulting in a $2,200 loss. A couple of runner flush hands in there. Anyway, the other hand did end up with me, though, winning $1,000 on the session, mostly due to me turning the nut flush and a guy jamming all in with just top pair and a weaker flush draw. So we'd go into this Thursday session with work to do. I show up to the poker room just before 3, and at 3:30 a second $0 $5 game comes together on table 5. I buy in for $1,000 and start off losing about 170, flopping a pair and a flush draw in a 3-way pot. I added a gut shot on the turn, but ended up folding when the pre-flop 3-better checked flop and jammed turn, which to me screamed aces, which is indeed what he ended up having. Then I'm in early position. Pocket kings. My $20 open gets 3 callers. So with 80 in, we see a 9-9-5 flop with 2 clubs. I bet half the pot, and 2 of the 3 continue. With 200 in, the turn is the 6 of spades. Wanting to get value from the draws, but also maintain some degree of pot control if one of these guys is slow playing a 9, I bet 55. And only the big blind, an older gentleman who I don't know well but always wears a Michigan hat and doesn't play too many hands, calls. The other guy goes out. So with 320 in, the river is a red 3, and he checks. I figured he was either slow playing a 9 here, or he missed his draw. And if he did have a hand like pocket 8s, it was pretty unlikely I felt that he was going to call a third bet. So I simply check back pocket kings here, and he shows pocket queens. Can't say that I'd recommend that you guys just call $20 pre-flop with that hand in a 4-way pot out of position, but in his defense, I absolutely did not see that coming. Then I pick up pocket 8s and end up going 4 ways to a flop at the price of $115 each. I thought there was a state law dictating that an 8 was always supposed to peel off for me in these spots, but come to find out that's not on the books as I fold to an all-in bet on queen 4 deuce. A $15 straddle is on the button, and under the gun 2 calls. I have 9-10 of clubs in the low jack, and I decide to squeeze here to 65. Cut off cold calls, and the straddle defends, which results in +2 completing. So all of a sudden I'm looking at a $265 pot. I do get a good flop, though, as it comes out ace, 6-7, 2 clubs. Gets checked to me. I bet 125, and all 3 of these guys throw their hands away. The next 10 seconds of this vlog are strictly for people around my age. John Madden died this week. That's not the part of it I'm talking about. I'm sad about that as anyone else. I absolutely loved John Madden when he was calling games. I also recently discovered that you can go back in Apple Music and find playlists of old Madden games. And looking at Madden 2003, which was the game that I probably played the most, it takes me right back to high school when I listen to Audio Vent or OK Go as I patiently wait for hands at the poker table. The next hand comes when I flop the nuts. It happened in a 4-way pot when I had King Jack. My flop bet got 2 calls, and the turn brought in front door hearts, and I got raised big by a guy who was bluffing approximately, and again, this number is approximate, 0% of the time. If I'd had the king of hearts, maybe I could have considered continuing, but the jack is not going to get it done, and it became an easy fold. I didn't get it on video, but I ended up getting all in versus short stack with ace-king against pocket kings. And come to find out, hell would freeze over as I drilled an ace on the turn. Wasn't a very big pot, but we'll take what we can get. The game then gets worse as a young deep-stacked grinder changes tables. I honestly don't know what he saw to give him the idea that was the better play. Maybe he's hunting me. Anyway, I then called a raise with ace-queen, and got a queen-high board. After I called a flop bet from an OMC, I drilled an ace on the turn and he folded to my bet. It's possible I needed that ace, but I will never know. I missed the blinds and posted $5 in the cutoff. We get a limp and an early position $20 raise. I have pocket aces and go 4x. Ultimately, I get 3 calls, including the last 2 guys in the game that I want giving me action. Either way, with 330 in, the flop is jack 9-6 2 spades. I bet 160, and both of these 2 guys I was talking about call me. So with 810 in, the turn is the 4 of spades. I don't have the ace of spades, but neither of these guys bets, indicating that I'm likely still good. I make it 200, and sure enough, get 2 very quick folds. I didn't even stop rolling video and got dealt pocket jacks, facing a $75 3-bet by a tough player that I decided to just call. He checked a 10-high 2 club flop, but the turn brought in said club draw, and I ended up losing, folding face up so I could make a crackin' jacks joke, but I did get shown the flush with king 6 of clubs. We get a $20 straddle, and the guy in the Michigan hat, who's known to slow play queens preflop, makes it 65. I have pocket aces and make it 150, and the Michigan man calls. So with 325 in, the flop is jack 7 deuce 2 hearts. He checks, and I bet 170, hoping that he has queens again, but that's unlikely to be the case, as he mucks pretty quickly. So I'm cruising along and I color up, but then an $8,000 pot takes place in our game between the 2 big stacks in a king high flush over 8 high flush situation. That is indeed 8, not ace, as I would have expected. Then I go heads up with my toughest opponent in the game with 7-6 of clubs, and with 35 in, we go to queen 7-4, 2 clubs, and he bets 15. One of my many New Year's resolutions is to not overplay pairs plus flush draws in spots like this, so I just call. With 65 in, the turn's an offsuit 3, and he bets 40. I call. With 145 in, the river is a beautiful offsuit 5. He bets $175 here. Given the fact that getting a payoff out of this opponent will not be easy, I decide to just min-raise here. And he folds face up a set of 3s. I did mention he was a good player, and he makes a good lay down there. So things were already going well, so the news that my Golden Knights cruised to victory was just icing on the cake. So I'm up quite a bit, but still need to be a responsible electric car owner and move my car out of the charging station when fully charged. All right, it's 9:30. We have a maniac in the game. He is extremely intoxicated, but he's also in beast mode. He's got to be up 5,000 or 6,000 in this game. So let's jump back in and see if we can't get some of that. So I mentioned pair plus flush draw flops, and the first hand I played when coming back involved me raising ace-4 of hearts, and the flop coming out ace-queen 3, 2 hearts. I bet 35, and got called. And with 135 in, the turn is the 7 of hearts. I bet out for 60 here, and my opponent says, well, exactly what I wanted to hear. The pot ended up being just under $1,000 total, I showed my hand first because I'll do that with recreational players. He never showed, but obviously we're taking down another one as the day continues to go well. The game stayed good. We even had some guys showing the skinny. I won a few more small pots and had a big-time winning image. When that happens, I will look for small pots to steal like this one, when I am once again channeling Easy E. We see a Queen 5-8 flop 5 ways, and my flop bet gets them all to fold. Something that would definitely not have happened if I was losing on the day. Then a very rare event on this night transpires. I lose a hand! One of those annoying hands that no one bet on the flop, but the turn gave me a flush draw and a straight draw to go with my pair of 8s. And I called off $100 trying to hit one of those draws, but failed to do so. A guy then straddles $20 in middle position, and he'd been seeing a lot of flops. I didn't realize how many, or I'd have raised more here. I have ace-king plus 2 and make it 60. He calls. The low jack cold calls. And with the 185 in, it comes 9-8-3, 2 spades. I bet 70, and the straddle folds 7 deuce of diamonds face up, telling me he just had to see a flop with that hand. Unfortunately, the low jack does not fold, and with 325 in, the turn is the 7 of hearts. I decide to barrel again here and make it 150, and he Hollywoods for about 30 seconds before jamming all in, winning him the pot. So now I've lost back-to-back hands. I decide this whole losing hands thing is not for me, so I rack up and book the win. All right, it's about 11 o'clock, racking up and booking an $1,130 win. Kind of feels like it should have been more than that on a night in which I obviously ran extremely good. Not all that happy with myself for that double barrel with the ace-king there at the end, but what can you do? Hey, if you're looking to improve your poker game, do what I did over a decade ago now. Sign up for crushlivepoker.com. Check out their weekly podcasts and training videos. Definitely will help your game, and you can get 25% off a basic or premium subscription for life by using the promo code BENDEACH. Hit the like and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. It's great for the channel, and I genuinely appreciate it. And we are out.